with hair coloring, color theory is very important. So when I'm dealing with hair coloring, when you turn your books to page 642, first things you're going to understand are the characteristics of the structure of the hair. You're going to be looking for elasticity, the ability of the hair to stretch and then return to 50% of its original length. Texture, the coarseness, medium or fineness of the hair. The density, the amount of hairs per square inch. Porosity, the ability of the hair to contain moisture, to absorb moisture. You're going to be dealing with the natural hair color and then the contributing pigment or undertone. So when I'm dealing with colors, you're going to have primary colors, which are going to be colors that cannot be made. These are colors that are going to come from nature. Red roses, yellow dandelions, blue sapphires. Then when you're dealing with secondary colors, now you're starting to mix colors. This is going to be mixing equal amounts of two primary colors. You have your tertiary color or quaternary colors, which are going to be created by mixing equal amounts of one primary with its adjacent secondary color. Then lastly but not leastly, I'm recording. Sorry. Lastly but not leastly, your complementary colors, which are going to be governed by mixing colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So now, when you're looking at page 645, colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel are complementary colors. These colors will cancel each other out. What does that mean?
Okay, great.
They're going to turn into a non-color, a color that's not actually a color. So orange and blue are complementary colors. When I mix these two colors in equal amounts, like you said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to get a non-color, a color that's not actually
That's orange and blue?
a color. Orange and blue, which are opposite each other on the color wheel, which makes them complementary colors. So now, what we're going to go into is a situation where we're about to learn how to neutralize colors, tonalities, and then we're going to go into levels. Okay? So what happens when I mix orange and blue in equal amounts is I'm going to get a color that is clearly not a color. Okay? It's like not really a color. It's not really a color. But now, here we go. We're about to learn something with these complementary colors and mixing them. Let's say your client comes in and for whatever reason, she wants orange hair. Well, when she goes to work, the boss says, you know what? I don't mind you having orange hair, but you're gonna have to make it look a little bit more natural. You're gonna have to bring down the intensity of it. You're going to have to tone it down. Well, when I take that orange and I mix a little bit of its complementary color, well, you know what that's gonna do? Just what we just said. It's gonna bring down the intensity. It's gonna tone it down. It's gonna tone it down. You're still gonna have the color orange, but it won't be as vibrant, as intense, as saturated. Giving you some vocabulary words here. Because a lot of times when we take the written exam, it's not that we don't know information, it's that we don't use the correct terminology when we're learning it and when we're performing it. So I'm still going to have orange, but I'm going to have a different tone of orange by mixing its complementary color with it. Now, the amount of the complementary color that I mix with it is exactly what's going to give me different tones of the color. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So, if I mix too much of its complementary color, then I'm going to go back into a problem where the other color is going to shine through. But when someone comes and I'm using a color swatch, then I'm going to better be able to come up with the exact color and tone that they're trying to get. Okay? So, again, when I'm mixing complementary colors, what I'm doing is either canceling each other out or toning them down. Toning them down. So clearly, it's going to get darker the more of its complementary color that you add. Okay. Does that make sense? So, what we're getting here is tonality. I want this a little bit more orange so that we can see now levels. Now what I'm going into on top of tonality is levels of color. Levels of color. There we go. Now what I'm going into is levels of color and the level system. So when I'm going to color someone's hair, there's going to be components to that color. The natural hair color, the color that I'm trying to reach, the undertone, the color that it might pull, and then the mixture that I'm going to use. Okay, so let's go into hair coloring a little bit better. Now, the thing about color is that it's not